So today I'm talking about decolonization. Over the last few years, this word decolonization has become a hot topic of our political class and a certain section of so called intellectuals. But if these people truly want to decolonize India, the very first thing they have to do is ban cricket. Because think about it, what is more colonial than the gentleman's game? A sport created by the British in India specifically to display their perceived superiority. For almost a century, we weren't even allowed to play it. And look at us now. We took something that was designed to humiliate us, stripped it of its snobbery, brought it to the streets with sticks for stumps and rubber balls and makeshift bats, and made it our own. We became the biggest and the best at it. Today, cricket is the one thing in the world that is truly ours. It's as Indian as anything else you can think of. And that's a beautiful thing. That's what makes this country special. And if these decolonizers were really so serious, the second thing they do is eliminate this repressive, entitled bureaucracy, getting drunk on its own power and in a constant state of colonial hangover. This means no VIP convoys for politicians and bureaucrats, the people in power being held accountable, getting fired or replaced for incompetence, going to jail for very obvious crimes. Basic stuff. Putting the servant back in public servant. But they aren't going to do that, are they? Instead, they just change names of some places and streets and wax eloquence about some long forgotten time that they themselves know nothing about. That'll solve everything. That'll heal that deep, unresolved colonial trauma. Right? Now, I want to be fair to the people on the other side of this. Because colonialism didn't just take our wealth, it rewrote our history, it devalued our languages, and trained us to see our own civilization through a foreign lens. Reclaiming that is real work, and I respect that argument. What I do not respect is this cheap performative version, the one the ruling class is selling you. That is not decolonization, that is a distraction. Because if you look at what's being done on the ground level, you'll feel that tight grasp of colonial rule very much in place even today. What makes Indians special is our ability to assimilate, to adapt to whatever situation we find ourselves in. It's not a bug, it's our best feature. That's why the Indian community abroad is one of the most successful group of people. I look at our civilization like it's a massive banyan tree. A banyan tree rarely starts in the dirt. A seed is dropped from above into the branches of an existing tree. The banyan doesn't fight the host. It drops its roots down the trunk, hits the soil, and then slowly wraps around the host tree. Eventually, the original tree dies and rots away, leaving behind this massive indestructible banyan network that stands entirely on its own. So, when a colonial empire drops a seed, like their institutions and systems, we don't need to chop down our own forest to get rid of it. We wrap our roots around it. We use their systems to grow wider and deeper. The empire is gone, and all that is left standing is a country that runs a large part of the modern world. Take the English language as a perfect example. There's a reason I chose to create this channel in English. Some may call it a colonial mindset, but I call it the real connective tissue of modern India. Because when I speak English, I can reach someone in Chennai, Delhi, and Shillong at the same time. I can't say the same of any of the other languages I speak. Just like with cricket, we took this language and made it our own. We mashed it up with our local slang and colloquialisms and created entirely new ways of communicating. We use it to negotiate global deals, write software, and even argue with each other across the length and breadth of this nation. Taking an empire's tool and using it to build your own economy isn't a hangover. It's a boss move. It's taking back the power. And this brings me to something that's been on my mind for a while. Something I feel is holding us back. You constantly hear people say, I'm so proud of our ancient past, or I'm so ashamed of what happened during the colonial era. But let's get real here. Carrying the emotional baggage of 200 or 2000 years ago is just silly. This kind of pride and shame are cheap emotions. Politicians love it when we argue about history because it distracts us from the present. It's a brilliant diversion tactic if you think about it. You're so busy arguing online about who built a monument 500 years ago. You aren't asking why the road outside your house looks like the surface of the moon. You don't ask about the toxic air you're breathing, about where your tax money is going, things like that. Most of us are stuck in the past, and hardly anyone's here living in the present. That's a real problem. I am not ashamed of the history of this country, but I am not blindly proud of it either. I accept it for what it is. Because what else are we going to do? Now, obviously, we need to stop blindly copying the West. Building full glass skyscrapers in our weather and topography is stupid. Wanting validation from the West is just sad. Importing political ideas with no context hurts our public discourse. Cutting trees, destroying Prakriti, one of the most important aspects of our civilizational ethos, in the name of growth. That's what the British did all those years ago. The people in charge are still continuing their work. So, fixing our country doesn't require decolonization. It requires something I term as recolonization by us, the natives, the actual people of this country. Right now, it feels like we are all living in someone else's idea of India, waiting for the government or the system or some historical savior to fix things for us. But we need to take back our streets and our cities and our neighborhoods. Treat them like they are your actual property because they are your actual property and not just transient spaces between your home and office. Don't be apathetic to issues because it's not my problem. It is your problem. This is our home. It was always our home. So we don't need to look backward to find our identity. And we definitely don't need to look at the West to find our future because that looks bleak. We just need to look down the street we are standing on and take responsibility for it. Stop fighting the ghosts of the past. Start fighting the pothole outside your gate. We'll all be better off for it. If you resonate with this video, make sure to, like, subscribe, share, and all that. Other than sharing these opinions, I also plan to tie up with experts and share playbooks on how to actually navigate and push back against our local systems. I'm Gautam. This is the Indian Evolution. I'll see you in the next one. Stay with me.